Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins,
I'm Paul Hankins.
I'm Trevor Hankins.
I'm Rachel Wells.
And I'm Julia Cannon.
and you're on the air with Power Squared. Uh, Rachel's back on the show because we're talking about Vinland Saga as part of our comic book club. This is the fifth, you can see my hands, fifth edition of Comic Book Club. So, this was your choice, Rachel? You want to tell
Sure
us?
was.
You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so this book is a highly popular manga about Vikings. It takes place during the 1000s, like early 1000s, during the time of Vikings when they were taking over England. And it tells the story of a boy named Thorfinn who's trying to take revenge for the death of his father. Oh no, spoilers. And it has Leif Erikson. It has super high octane Viking action. It's named after Vinland, which is what the Vikings called the Americas when they had first found it for themselves. And it's a super interesting little period piece. And I picked it because I had this book forever, and I just haven't been able to read it. And also, season 2 of the anime is coming out this season, so I figure it's pretty appropriate. And yeah.
Okay, so we could force you to read it. That's good. So, and I'm assuming the way you've done in the other club meetings, you've read all the volumes out there, right?
I wish.
Okay. 'Cause last time
I'll get there
home-
eventually. How
Okay.
many volumes are even out?
I want to go with the answer that is yes.
Yes. 26 volumes. Golly.
Well, I
I
don't
guess I
know.
better get started.
Although in America they're 2-in-1s, so it's more like 13.
Oh.
So, yeah, just 13 books. So, what did everybody
all?
think about Rachel's choice?
There was a point in the manga where I actually screamed and my dad had to check on me if I was okay. So like it was the scene with his father where he was like fighting and then you can see like the other body's like contorting. I was like, oh! Oh! And I kept on turning the page, we're like, shoot! And then my dad's like, are you okay? I'm like, no!
Oh no.
Like, I forgot if you hit a body hard enough and it could contort that way. I didn't know it could be reciprocated in drawing.
I do not remember
Something
that.
about medieval stories where they're just they're not afraid to go hard at all.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because
Yeah.
it's not like you can't go this hard with other kinds of stories. It's the medieval action that is the most just like off the wall.
I also like how they make Leif Erikson seem to be like he's just sort of a braggart more than he actually did anything. You know?
Well, the thing is, I think, what was it? I think the town kids think he's a braggart because they can't believe his stories. No one in town can believe like all the amazing things he's seen. When really, I
Or
think the
says
reality is that he's a wise old sailor, and he has that wisdom of the seas to complement Thor's wisdom about battle.
Yeah.
That was how I saw it.
I was just, everybody's like, yeah, sure, right. Yeah.
Maybe I'm biased because I've seen the show.
And so I just got a vibe. I'm like, he's putting a front up for the kids because like they're kids. But then obviously when he's with the adults, he's just like, guys, we got to start thinking about serious stuff.
Yeah.
So I can see like the understanding of how he like perceives or says things.
This book was funny because it starts with it starts kind of in the present, and then we get a flashback to Thorfinn's childhood. That's not how the anime started. It was all chronological. So I started reading it and I was like, oh my god, we're in the middle.
Yeah, I was
But,
actually
I
gonna
think-
ask the difference with experience.
Yeah, but I found it to be interesting because those first few I think it was like was a couple chapters, right? It was 4 chapters that are set in the present.
Yeah.
But those first few chapters are effective at setting the tone. They'd be like, this is about Vikings, y'all. We're talking about Vikings. This is what they do. Here's what you're in for.
Yeah.
And in that one of those beginning scenes was especially notable to me because you see Thorfinn is being sent into the Frankish camp to communicate with them, and they're all communicating different languages. Like Thorfinn speaks Norse, and everyone else speaks Frankish. And in the anime, there's no different languages. They all communicate in Japanese. But in Japanese, Thorfinn's like, "Can someone here speak Norse?" Then the people in Japanese are like, "We don't understand what he's saying." So it's very awkward. I don't know. I think it's kind of difficult to hire voice actors that speak different languages, so I understand why it was awkward, why it had to be awkward. But in the manga, they kind of communicate that language difference with different fonts,
Yeah.
which I found to be very clever. And it's another way. It shows another way in which comics are special and cool.
Yeah.
I think with something like anime, it's like they all speak the same language for the sake of for the sake of the viewer, but in universe they are still speaking different languages.
It's true. It's just it just kind of takes me out of it, if I'm gonna be honest.
Like your immersion's gone, kind of thing.
I can't say I would have done it differently if I was directing this anime. That just seems like a logistical headache. But it seemed like it was done a lot easier in the comic, and it was something I appreciate because it's something just as simple as changing the font in
Yeah.
the word bubbles.
And then I also wonder how English dub would handle it.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It would we'll probably find out, but I would also imagine that they would probably just all have it be in English.
Right.
Well, I
I'm
imagine-
trying to think that too.
Like,
I imagine one way to do that would be like different accents.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, also,
You know,
with like I'll just say like JoJo Part 5, since that takes place in Italy, with the dub, of course their characters are supposed to be Italian. In the dub, it's made a little more obvious because they throw in some Italian words.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh right, they're Italian. Or they actually talk about lira instead of yen.
What was it? I think Trevor has a good point about doing it more for the viewer, because I was shocked to see how many people, right around when Parasite came out, I was shocked to see how many people just did not want to watch things with subtitles. Like, I've been watching anime my whole life, like subbed anime, so it just seemed so basic to me, like, oh, okay, it's a foreign movie, I have to watch it with subtitles. No big deal. And I get the people that, like, just have reading issues, so they'd rather just watch a dub. But, so many people that are just completely intolerant of watching something with subtitles. Like, I can see why you'd want to keep it all in one language.
It's like there's a there's a difference between like it's like a difference between like if you're actually able to listen to it to a language to someone who's like, oh, I can actually do this, but I don't want to type of vibe. Kind of thing. Yeah. It's like I totally get the thing of like, because like with me personally, whenever I do watch something in a different language, I feel like it's one of those things where like with Parasite, for example, like you have to have all of your attention to it because like you don't want to miss anything, and on top of that you have to pay attention to the subtleties of the film itself, because usually aside from the subtitles you have to pay attention to the entire scene because you might miss something.
Mm-hmm.
Albeit if it's which is something I've always noticed, which is like but of course it's depending on how someone translated and how it's dubbed, that can also just be like, at least for me personally, it can be a big win or a loss depending as well.
That's true. I think a lot of it's cultural too, cause you notice like all the people that are like into K-dramas didn't really have a problem watching Parasite. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not to mention all over the world too. Like American movies, they rule the world. So a lot of people around the world are just used to watching these American movies with subtitles in their native language. But we as Americans aren't, because we're we're spoiled.
The funny thing is, in Japan, there's actually a sub versus dub debate about King of the Hill.
I know that. I know that. It's so good.
But I think we can all agree on one. Sorry, go.
I can't say if I wasn't a Japanese King of the Hill fan, I wouldn't prefer subs. Because, like, you gotta enjoy the original flavor of the Texan accent. It's a part of their culture, you know?
Yeah, I think we can all agree though. Cory in the House, best anime ever. Sorry, I had to. Yeah.
What I meant was when characters are speaking different languages, it's easy to figure out a way to do that if it's like something printed like a comic or a manga. But if it's like animated or something like that, you have to find a different way to communicate that.
Yeah, going back to what Rachel said is probably logistics things. Like they could have obviously gotten someone to like speak it or whatever the heck, or maybe find a way to do it. But then it's one of those things where we don't really know what goes on in the back burner when something is dubbed. So it's one of those things where like you can't really say too much about it unless you've like really seen the behind the scenes or know someone that works there, which it's either fortunate or unfortunate depending on the perspective, I guess.
Yeah. But what was it? I guess I was just reflecting on differences between the anime and the manga. I think otherwise, besides for the switch up of the scenes, it's a pretty faithful adaptation. And what was it? I believe Volume 1 covers just 4 episodes of the anime. So I've got a lot of reading to do.
It's the story, at least in the first volume, I thought was really well written. Like for example, it's very clear that it's clear how much Thorfinn has a lot of maturing to do, because like he doesn't understand why Thor's doesn't want to be a killing machine.
Right.
Yeah, well, Thor seems to be held in contrast a lot with the younger members of the village because, they're from a peaceful village. They've never known war. So, and what they think of as battle is like something that's glorious and something they need to take part in order to be a man.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to Valhalla, and it's all fun and games,
That goes on. I mean, even the Civil War people, they want to fight in the war because that's what you're supposed to do, and
it's like something that's been engraved in them since they were like wee lads, and it's just like
that's how you get glory, is to fight.
Yeah, but Thor's attitude is that you should not be fighting unless it's absolutely necessary, and that comes from experience. Like obviously,
for sure,
little kids don't know anything, and Thorfinn doesn't know anything. He's just 6 in this volume, and
a baby.
I really enjoy how the book explores that contrast and the attitudes of these characters, and how Thor doesn't have to preach to you about his attitudes for you to see exactly what he's about.
Yeah.
He's very sober, and he no nonsense, and all he does is exactly what needs to be done to not even just get his way, but just protect the people around him. That's his main priority, is protection.
Yeah.
And that's what he uses fighting for, mainly, not for glory but for protection.
Because of proximity to what Trevor was playing around the same time we were reading this, I was vaguely reminded of God of War Ragnarok. because
I was actually going to mention God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah. Because it touches on a similar thing where Kratos tries to teach Atreus about the difference between killing to survive and killing out of vengeance. or for like no real reason.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Like, it seems like it almost kind of points to a coming of age story, because the kids' attitudes come from like inexperience, and Thor's and even let's say Leif Erikson's attitudes about the world come from like actually having known and seen all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked the character of Thor.
Yeah.
I was like pissed when they killed him. It's like, that's not
Pour
fair.
one out for a
Hey.
real one, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I saw him like getting killed, I was like, I knew this was gonna happen, but I'm mad about how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I knew it. Like it premised that like like this man is not gonna stay for as long as he needs to. However, I'm mad about how it happened, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah,
No,
it's-
no, 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 no.
yeah,
No, 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 no.
It seemed very dishonorable.
Yeah.
You know what I found interesting? Something I didn't notice when I watched season 1 of the anime is that just the way that Thorfinn's attitude as a child about like war and fighting seemed to reflect how Thor's once felt as a younger lad. Because at one point he was part of the Jomsvikings, and I assumed he had a much less naive way of looking at battle and violence. And then, as this village gets pumped up for battle, he starts to see a little of that in Thorfinn. It starts to scare him, and I found that really interesting because it almost seems to be genetic, because it's not like he was raised to think that battle is something glorious and cool and epic. And you definitely start to see more of that attitude as the story goes on, and you can see a little piece of it at the very end. And it's just super interesting to see how a traumatized 6-year-old develops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh.
He got to see his dad get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That will traumatize you.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
If that don't
That'll
do it, you're not going to get traumatized by it.
Also mentioned, based on what's in this first volume, I ended up kind of liking Ilva,
Okay.
the girl.
Uh-huh. Oh, the one
Yeah.
is that the one that all the guys are hitting on?
Yeah.
Am I the only girl here? Yeah.
Well, the thing is, she's not the only girl. She's the daughter of the chief. You're very important.
Oh, I know, but
You're a
For her-
VIG, very
Yes.
important girl.
Yeah, she was still like, am I the only girl?
yeah, I know. I think she even says that.
Seriously, guys?
Yeah, she's kind of funny.
All the guys are, I'm coming back for you.
And she's like, yeah. You say
Ilva's
this.
almost like she's almost like, at least in this volume, she almost feels like an audience stand-in, because she kind of reflects the attitudes that we might be having. Like during the scene where Thor's is taking care of that half-dead slave, and Ilva's like, "Are you sure you want to do this, Dad? Like, it's not. Come on, it's like
Yeah.
there's a lot of sheep to be giving away for it. Are you sure, Dad?" So she's kind of, maybe I just relate to her the best because I always relate to the girl. But
I wonder why.
I find her to be an interesting little character.
I also thought the 4-panel stuff was really funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially with her, she's staring off into the sunset. It's like, oh, I wonder what she's thinking about. Murder, thievery, hand over your money. Pillage.
I think about,
I thought, though, the thing with the slave shows you a lot about Thor's character, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As logistically unsound that would be, especially during a storm, it's like, you know what? I'm with you on this one. Like, yeah, have the dude at least pass with dignity where he wanted to be, at least. So
Yeah.
it was like, I would, like, in a sentimental way, I would say it was worth it. Like, in terms of
Yeah.
like losing a heart, like, yeah, like, dude, just he let him have his send off the way he wanted instead of just dying by someone's hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be reflective of like his own maturity and the way he, what do you call it? The way he steps back from the attitudes of the day. Like, in this day and age, slaves are just property, and you don't mess with someone else's property, you know. But he doesn't. He sees this slave as a human worthy of dignity, like you said, and even if he has to spend like 8 sheeps to buy him off of the guy, only to have him die hours later, this is a wealthy man, but he doesn't necessarily care to hold on to the wealth if it means he can maintain his integrity with his values. You know, he can treat the slave like he or anyone else might like to be treated.
Yeah.
Just
I also thought it was interesting with the second set of like 4-panel stuff where the mangaka was talking about his research trip.
Oh yeah, I found that super interesting.
Yes,
I love to hear about how the works that I read and watch are made.
Yeah. Although it was funny how the way that research trip ended was also just pretty funny. Like
It made me want to go to Norway.
yeah, I can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Go see the Northern Lights. I hate cold, but I would love to go see the Northern Lights.
Well, with global warming, maybe it won't be so bad.
It's like I want to see all of nature's
No.
wonders. However, I don't want to feel nature's wonders temperatures.
I want to
Basically it.
feel the wonders.
Like I don't want to get frostbite by the end of my trip, but I'd love to see the Northern Lights.
Other weird thing was because I happened to be playing God of War Ragnarok at the same time I was reading Vinland Saga. It's like because God of War Ragnarok also focuses on Norse mythology. It's like whenever they mentioned a Norse god, I ended up visualizing the God of War version.
Really interesting that you were playing it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just worked out that way.
My friends are yelling at me to play, but I'm just like, bro, I don't have the money to buy it. What do you mean?
As for the artwork, it's interesting how balances like being like super detailed and also being like super expressive.
Yeah, I do like the expressiveness. That the anime felt really gritty, not really gritty, but like gritty in a way you might expect this kind of story to be. But the comic almost feels it feels very exaggerated. What was it? It doesn't feel quite as gritty, and I kind of like that because I think it kind of works to accentuate the comedy a little better. It feels this comic feels more comedic than the anime, which I find interesting.
It's also It's also a weird contrast going from like this generally more cartoony expression to like suddenly super realistic inside of the mouth. The first time that happens, it's like ah.
Oh, I see.
Alright.
But then it also does because it's like the water and ice look really good, and there's a lot of detail when stuff breaks. And
Yeah, like whenever I go back to reading manga, I always forget how detailed and like you can be with just like one tone and like a bit of cross hatching here and there.
Yeah.
Because like when you do like with me, like whenever you do like rendering and stuff, especially with either digital or like when you have like a plethora of a color palette, like you're overwhelmed. So I sometimes forget like you can get like either the same or like a similar type of detail from just like a few little keystrokes, well, not keystrokes, but like I said, it's like either changing a tone or just cross hatching, which this manga had a lot of, and I appreciate it so much because like when I was just looking at it, I'm just like, holy crap, I forgot how much you can just do with like a bunch of lines instead of just trying to figure out your palette.
yeah.
Yeah.
And during the fights, it does a really good job of like selling the intensity and the force of the impact.
Oh, yeah.
This-
Oh, yeah.
Going back to the oh no! So I had to lean back to from the mic.
Yeah.
Hope your dad's not knocking on the door. Are you okay?
Oh no, he knows I'm doing a podcast. He's good.
okay.
Is he here? I don't even know anymore. He went to go get groceries. I'm not sure if he came back. Dad went to go get milk.
I enjoy pretty much all aspects of the art in this comic. What was it? Like, the action is awesome. The characters are awesome, and I feel like with manga in general, you can just come to expect that the backgrounds are going to be A++.
Yeah.
Like, just the most gorgeous thing you've ever seen, like hanging up in a museum. But they just do that on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
So should we mention I don't think we actually mentioned the writer-artist.
Yeah, Makoto Yukimura.
There you go. I don't think we actually had mentioned his name. Talk about what a great guy he is. What a great job he did. We don't talk about it. So, anyway. And
What are names?
Yeah, well, people like credit.
Yeah.
You're a real one, Yukimura.
So if he's watching.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't think he is. So. Anyway, all right. So I guess you would recommend it to other people to read?
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
All right. And I guess there's more volumes if people want to keep reading.
Yeah.
Many more.
It's a good binge.
You like period pieces, you like Vikings. I mean, like, what are you waiting for? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Quickly, want to talk about our book coming out.
Okay.
We actually got, I had to kind of force that open. The proofs back for issue 16.
Ooh.
So we have two different versions. One is the Artith Merrick version,
Let's
Let's
go.
go.
and the other is from Kablam. I give Kablam a lot of credit. I sent it in on Tuesday, and I got it back by Friday.
Wow.
Hey, yo.
That's pretty good. So anyway,
Oh, wow. Awesome.
yeah. So we're
Great work on the colors. Who does those gorgeous colors? Wow.
I know, right? I need to know.
they don't want credit, so because what's in a name? But anyway, so you guys are going to come back and talk about that the 10th. The 10th. Friday,
March 10th?
March 10th.
Let's do it.
Right? Because I asked if everybody would do that. No one
Yeah.
actually responded, so okay, good. All right. So I'm committing everybody to March 10th. Great.
I'll do it.
So let's talk about the next book. It's Trevor's turn to pick.
Yes.
This. So something I sort of tried to suggest before.
Right.
Okay.
Stray Dogs.
Okay.
Ooh.
Now is this is Comic-Con?
Yeah, we learned about it at Comic-Con.
All right.
This.
It turns out it was a sleeper hit for Image.
Yeah, Image.
And Julia's looking up the price it's going to cost.
It is. Where am I looking? Let's see. It's $15 for a paperback and $14 if you want to get the Kindle one.
So it's up to you how you want to do it. But I guess that's the book.
I'm
to
gonna
read.
flip a coin.
Tell us about it.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
speaking of, sorry, go.
It's a well, if I'm describing it right, it's a suspense thriller from the perspective of dogs.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm here for it.
Oh no.
So, and two of you have read it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So
Yes.
it'd be new to the three
Is
of
it going to
us.
be like Watership Down?
I'm gonna cry.
Is it going to be really sad?
Me.
I don't want to give it away, do you?
I don't want to spoil
Well,
it.
yeah.
But
I'm not
it's
gonna
about
tell you.
it's about doggos. It can't be that bad, right?
Definitely happy. Definitely like nothing goes wrong.
Nothing bad ever happens to Doggo. Ever.
Okay.
Ever, no.
Okay, let's keep that little thought in mind.
No.
So again, it's Stray Dogs? What is it called?
Yeah, Stray Dogs.
Stray Dogs, okay. Phew. I was paying attention. Go ahead.
For extra credit, there was a follow-up thing called Dog Days.
Ooh.
Well, let's...
But it's sort of it's more of an expansion pack, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, let's just read the one book and...
Right.
I don't want to be spending other people's money too freely. And then there's the follow-up.
Just this then.
All right. So when do we think we want to try to regroup to talk about that?
Maybe sometime after May 10th. Oh wait, no, obviously that.
May 10th?
My brain died. My brain died for like 2 seconds.
Weeks, right? So that'll probably put us in April.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we don't have to...
First week of April?
April 7th?
That looks like the 7th to me.
I think that's doable.
How does that work out with your schedule, Julia?
Looks good.
Okay. So, gosh, we'll have you guys back. Well, we'll have Julia back before then, but we'll have Rachel back at least. Yeah, I noticed the picture of you with your little suit on. But
Yapper.
which you've never worn here, but you look nice.
Wait,
There was a picture of you somewhere on social
on
media.
Twitter?
Yeah, with you wearing a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought my first suit last year, and I just haven't had a good chance to wear it, so I had to take a picture. And I don't take a lot of selfies of myself, so I figure, like that's the one. That's the selfie.
Okay.
Yeah, but I definitely need more excuses to wear it. Someone take me out to a fancy restaurant.
I think that's Dom's job, isn't it?
It's
That
true.
or taking that to a fancy dinner. I don't know how it works anymore.
So we...
Ended this?
Yeah.
Yes, I think we have. we're now getting into her relationship with Dom. No, so I think it's
Sorry.
yeah, it's fine.
Alright, so if you're watching this on YouTube later and you like it, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment if you have an opinion on Vinland Saga, either the manga or the anime.
Right.
Oh, hang on. Just a little quick warning. It happened to me, so I'm not sure if it's just a me problem. If you're going to try to read that book on your Kindle on your phone, don't, because it'll say it's not compatible. So if you read your books on your phone, contemplate your life choices before anything.
All right.
I'm not sure if it's just a bug on my end, but that's what happened to me when I was trying
Just
to read
buy
it on
the
my
book,
phone.
man. It's brick size, so it's good for self-defense.
You're right.
All right. So until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins.
I'm Trevor Hankins.
Rachel Wells.
And I'm Jilly Cannon.
And we've been on the air with Power Squared. Bye.
Bye.